Fabulous. This time we know it's working. Excellent. So just to recap that, because I thought it was recording and it wasn't, I think last year looked at a selection of words and how we can use those words to help others, whether it's help them relax, problem solve, move through something, or whether it's applying those same words and methods directly back at ourselves to help ourselves relax or move through things. And so I thought it's about time we did another one. So we've got a selection of words to explore. And also we'll be revisiting one of the aspects of what we did last time, because it's really useful. And it'll be good to recap. What was the word? Recap. Is recapitulate a word, and does it mean anything at all? I've never heard it before. It just popped into my head. I don't actually think that is a word. So, but before we do that, I'm just going to ask you, as you're sitting there or lying there, because can't see everybody's cameras, and you're listening to this and aware of kind of the room about you, I wonder when you begin to notice yourself relaxing just now. Maybe sitting comfortable for a moment. And as you begin to sit comfortably, you may start to notice, as you begin to think about relaxing, the thought, the idea that maybe you can close your eyes and just allow yourself a moment of time. And I wonder if, as you close your eyes, you can try to hold on to tension. Really find a point within your body where you feel a bit tense or a bit uncomfortable, and just try to hold on to that tension. And as you're trying to hold on to that tension, and as you're listening to my voice, and as you're following this, and as you're relaxing, and as you continue to try to hold on to that, you can relax now even more than before. And you may even begin to feel yourself focusing within. Just focusing within now with your eyes closed. And I wonder if you can become aware of that place that feels most comfortable, most relaxed now. And you may try to hold on to that tension, or you may try to hold on to some tension elsewhere as you focus on that part of you that feels most relaxed. And as you focus on that part of you that feels most relaxed, and as you begin to become aware of more of that, you may, as you're doing that and as you're listening, begin to drift even deeper within, bringing your attention, your focus just to one point, one place within you as you're sat there listening to my voice, aware of the sounds round about you, any thoughts drifting by like clouds, and becoming aware of a single point or place within you. And you may, as you begin to notice that now, go deeper within to that place. And as you go deeper into that place, and as you're listening to my voice, and as you're following this, I wonder when it is that a part of you can begin to see a way past a small challenge or problem you've had recently. And I wonder if, as that part of you is seeing a way now past whatever that challenge is, if you may begin to find an easy and elegant solution. And as you're listening to this with your eyes closed, aware of the room around you, focusing within, and as you're beginning now to discover that really simple and elegant solution to something that's been a bit of a challenge or something difficult, that you may begin to realize that you can go beyond whatever that was. And I wonder when you begin to notice the start of a smile as you realize now the way forward to solve that problem, to overcome that challenge. And as you realize this now, and as you think about how you'll apply this, and as you begin your own internal search for even more understanding to allow you to move past that, and as you continue to discover, you may just begin to allow that smile of realization to start to grow now. As you realize that tension you were trying to hold on to, where is that? Try and find it. Because you may sooner or later realize that wherever that was, it was not. And when it's not what it was and it isn't what it is, you may, as you can discover, know the way forward through whatever that challenge or difficulty was that used to be in the way. So as you realize that, you may begin to return now. And I wonder whether you'll smile before you return fully, or whether you'll smile when you return. And as you're coming back and as you're bringing back all that understanding, even if you're not consciously aware of it yet, and as you're drifting back up and back into now and being aware of the chair or the bed beneath you, the room about you, the sound of my voice, I wonder when you'll feel ready to open your eyes and know the way beyond whatever that was that used to be a challenge or a difficulty. And when you're ready to do that, you can open your eyes and be here now. And then once you're back, you can just let me know with a wave or a... There we go. Wonderful. So there's a number of things going on there. I'm not going to go into all the bits and pieces that are words-wise and why we're applying them. But I am going to break down some of what we've done, and being super organized. Wonderful. We have a sunflower, so we know Caroline's back. I have one of these. Imagine it may look exactly like the last one, just with a 2 on it. Can't imagine why. So I'm actually going to start on number 6 because I didn't put these in the best of orders. And number 6, pacing and leading, is something that we did in the last one. We looked at in the last one. And pacing and leading is, you'll notice it, and you'll notice I use it quite a bit when I'm doing things like we're taking you into meditations, or when we're doing hypnosis, is using whatever is present in the moment for you, bringing it to your awareness, and then leading you. So I might name a couple of things. So as Sally's looking off to the other direction, and as Sally's smiling, and as she's got her headphones on, she can take a deep breath and just feel really good for a moment. And that's exactly what pacing and leading is. It's saying, as you're doing this, as you're doing this, and as you're doing this, so usually stating 3 or 4 definites, you can now do this. And whatever that you can now do is, or you can begin to do this, is the more suggestive. It might not be something that's happening right away, but you're going to suggest it and give it as an idea. And I've used this quite successfully, even in situations like pubs, where you maybe got a friend or something who's, it's not a quiet situation. There's noise, there's talking, but that's great because you can use all of what's going on. And so if you've got somebody who's struggling with a bit of a problem, to go and, well, as you're sitting here and as you're watching the barman go by and as you're drinking your drink, you can begin to understand maybe a way past this, can you not? And maybe they start looking like they're thinking about it. And you go, yeah, that's right. And as you're thinking about this, and you can hear that guy just get up to say he's got to go to the loo, whatever that is that you can begin to discover, you can understand that more now. And I'm not really saying anything. It's all very vague because you're not trying to give them an answer. You're not trying to solve their problem, but you're using that vagueness of language to imply that there's a process going on by pacing and leading and relating it to what's going on around them. Alternatively, you can use this for yourself. And we've done self-hypnosis in the past. And I sometimes will use this if my mind's a bit jumpy when I'm going into meditation. I'll use it at the beginning of my session to pace and lead. So if you're sat there relaxed there, you can just say to yourself, as I'm sat in my chair, I'm aware of the temperature in the room and the sound of my breathing. I begin to relax. And then just wait a moment and notice when you begin to relax. And then you can use that as a definite. So as I'm beginning to relax and as I'm sat here aware of my feet on the floor, that relaxation can grow deeper. And then you notice that relaxation growing deeper, and you can say something along the lines of, and as I notice that relaxation growing deeper, and as I'm listening to the car going past, and as I'm taking a deeper breath, I can just drift into trance. And then you can just let yourself drift. So it's a way of using your internal dialogue by pacing and leading what's going on around you. And especially if you're trying meditation or self-hypnosis, you're feeling a bit distracted by what's going on around you, turns it on its head. Suddenly it's the things out there that you're using to take you into that place. So that's pacing and leading. Next, we move on to I wonder. It's up there, number one. So I wonder. The word wonder just makes us wonder. Even if it's somebody else wondering, we wonder what they're wondering about. And when we're wondering about what they're wondering about, we then start to take more notice with our unconscious minds. So to say if we're pacing leading, you can say something along the lines of, let's imagine there's somebody with a problem. Say, oh, Dave, it's a bit noisy in here today. I bet you can hear all that noise. And I noticed what's his face is wearing that dodgy shirt again behind the bar, and at least we're sat here in our favorite seats. And I wonder when you'll begin to start to find a solution to that challenge you've got at the moment, easily and effortlessly. So you can bring this in and place it in, or you can just be a bit more formal with it and kind of do this pacing and leading. Go, I'll use what's going on here as I'm sat here, aware of my guitar over here, aware of the calendar on the wall, and my new statement of things. I wonder how easily and effortlessly I can deliver the rest of this session. So you follow I wonder, and you can do I wonder if, or I wonder when. So if you want to help somebody either relax or find a solution, you can say, well, I wonder when it is. Make an affirmative. No doubt in this. I wonder when it is that you'll start to move on from this. Or I wonder when it is you'll feel better about this. Which by itself dropped into a sentence seems quite inconspicuous, but in our use of language, it gets the person hearing it to explore now the possibility that they're going to get better, that they're going to get through this, that they're going to feel happier about something. And by introducing that seed of a possibility, the moment their mind starts exploring it, they have a choice. While somebody's, I don't know, maudling because, I don't know, say Amy had split up with her boyfriend on holiday and come back and she's like, she didn't. She had a great time. But say she'd come back and was moping around the house. But as you're moping around the house and as you have a face on you that looks like a toad that's about to explode. I don't know where that came from. um, I, I'm still tired from the weekend. That's where that came from. I wonder when it is you're going to start feeling better about this. So you're presupposing that somebody's going to feel better about it. And I wonder when. So you're presupposing it is going to happen. They will feel better about it, and introducing that possibility and that idea that they will feel better about it. And the moment they start exploring, even if it's just with the unconscious mind, the possibility they'll feel better about it, they're already moving away from that place of not feeling better about it and moving more in this direction. Does that make sense? Good, good, good. Number 2 is try. We've used try a lot. Whenever we've done the hands and when we do the eyes, and whenever someone goes, oh, I'm really trying to do this at the moment, Rob, I'll stop trying. In our language, try implies fail. And you'll notice in an attempt to encourage you to relax, I said, pick that place that feels tense and try to hold on to that tension. So what am I doing there? I'm saying to you, look, you're tense. I want you to try to hold on to it. But because try implies fail, it's saying to your unconscious mind, you're not going to succeed at trying to hold on to that tension. Well, if you're not succeeding at holding on to that tension, what are you doing? You're relaxing. So try can be used quite cleverly. There was, I've possibly shared this before, I can't remember, but a few lockdown time, I was working with somebody with a nail biting habit, which usually is quite a quick fix. And we'd get there and it'd be a couple of weeks and she'd be doing well, and then it'd just start happening again. And I'll be honest, I was getting to the point I wasn't really sure what the next step was. In fact, I was trying to work it out and not doing very well because I was trying. And on the 3rd session, we were chatting away. And she said, the problem is I'm really trying to keep my nails as nice as possible. And I just went, part of my brain went, thank you. And literally I turned around to her and I was like, okay, I know what you need to do now. And she's like, what's that? I said, I really need you to try to make your nails as horrible as possible. Because trying to make them really nice isn't working for you, is it? So I really need you to try to not keep them nice. And she doesn't bite them to this day. Because I told her that's exactly, but it's all the fancy techniques and everything, all the taking them through this method and that method and such his approach to habits, none of it was quite getting there. And it was something as simple as getting her to try the opposite thing of what she was trying to do to succeed at what she was trying to do. So try is it, you can be cheeky if you're at home and there's somebody there, you go, oh, try to not put the kettle on. and I'm pretty sure within 10 minutes the kettle will be on. So try can be used quite cheekily, but you can use it for yourself. You say if you find yourself, or being aware of when you use try actually is useful as well. So I'm going to try and get this done. Probably not going to. Probably not going to. Whereas if you say something along the lines of, I'm going to try to not get this done by 3 o'clock today. you'll probably end up surprising yourself and finding that you get it done by the time you've said. Another great time to use try is if you ever go, if you're a bit like me, every now and again I have a period of time where I don't necessarily drift off to sleep so well. It's usually when there's new ideas about and my head's full of like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And I just lie there. And as you do sometimes, it's been a hectic day and you're trying to get to sleep. You're trying to get to sleep. Stop trying to get to sleep. Start trying to hold on to being awake. Because trying to get to sleep's not working. Flip it over. Try to keep staying awake. And there's every good chance you're actually going to find yourself drifting off quite quickly. So I wonder and try. Moving forward onto now. And now is a really good way of, when you say it in a deliberate way, you can use it as a command, basically, to have that thing happen right now. So, and once we've talked about this, I'm sure you'll probably notice it when I'm guiding meditations or if I'm doing hypnosis. And I'll say something like, what's the classic one? I mean, I remember Sally making fun of me about it the once. I don't know if you'll go into hypnosis on the first breath. I don't know if you'll go into hypnosis on the second breath, or whether you'll go into hypnosis on the third breath. But whenever you go into hypnosis now, so I'm basically saying you've got a choice, but you're going into hypnosis now. So again, we can use now as a motivator for ourselves. There's something you need to do and you're maybe stalling a bit. You just say, I'm going to get this done now. And it just gets that motivation. It gives you that little prompt. If you're talking to somebody, Fee yesterday went round and did the terrifying horse trainer teacher dressing down on the young lad running the shop because his music was louder than the pubs in the street. Literally on a Friday and Saturday night, you could not hear the music as clearly as you could hear his, which I mean, just for the business alone, people aren't going to want to walk into that wall of sound. And she was in there and she goes, I need you to turn that music down now. And that now is the command. It makes the mind go, I better do this. This is urgent. So if you're lying there in bed, struggling a little bit to go off to sleep, tell yourself, oh, I'm just gonna try to stay awake now. And in doing that, you're telling yourself, one, that you're probably not going to succeed. And two, you're really not going to succeed at staying awake now. So you can use it both ways in contact with other people and with yourself. I've just noticed there's a few messages up there and they're not coming up because I'm on this. Sit down, love this. No, try not. Do or do not. There is try. Crafty. See, yeah, I'm giving away all the things. But the thing is, part of the reason I'm sharing these is, one, I find it fascinating that how our language influences us and how we think. And if you have an understanding of even what we've got, 5 different uses of words here, pacing and leading, plus I think there was 5 on the last one. That gives you 10 different insights into how we can use language more effectively. If you can use language more effectively, you can put your own ideas across more easily. You can influence a situation more easily, without having to kind of be forceful. You're looking at kind of covert conversation, really. And that's something that the more you think about it and the more you explore it, and as you're thinking about it and as you're watching this back and as you maybe go and watch the other one because you kind of find it interesting and think, oh, maybe all those together, you can you may actually begin to gain more insight in how you can apply it to your everyday life. And as you're applying it to your everyday life, you can begin to notice now how it starts to open up your communications and open up your relating to people, and also your ability to influence situations in a way that's more favorable for yourself. Did you notice I slipped into it there? Yeah, it's once you start looking at it, you notice, because a lot of this we do already, and it's just doing it more consciously. So that's wonder, try, now, you may. You may is a wonderfully clever little bit of language. And when we tell somebody that they may do something, they don't have to do anything. Absolutely no pressure. You say, oh, you may do it. You may do it. There's no pressure. And sometimes not having that pressure there, feeling that it's a free, gives almost the impression of a free choice. So you may choose to watch this again and the other one. It gives a free choice, or the impression of a free choice, even though it's directed. So as you consider the use of language to create trance, to shift your own thinking, to help others, you may find real, easy, beautiful, and elegant solutions to how you're communicating both to yourself and to others. So that's you may, and you may, I use that one a lot. You may, you might is a variation thereon. So as you're lying there, you may begin to notice that place that feels most comfortable for you. It's presupposing there's a place that's comfortable. It's saying you may notice. It's not saying you will, because, and especially, and you notice this if you're performing with things like hypnosis, if you say you're going to feel this relaxation now, in a performance situation, or if somebody's gone, oh, go on, show me something, I bet you can't, you've already got a challenge situation. So if you go, you're going to start feeling a relaxing feeling now, you're really opening the doors for someone to go, I'm not. Whereas you say something, I wonder if, as we're talking, as we begin this now, and as you're listening to what I'm saying, that you may begin to notice a sense of relaxation. And I don't know where that is for you. And I wonder when you will start to notice that relaxation now. So indirectly, you're telling this person you are going to feel the relaxation, but in a way that seems so, it's so permissive, it's so free, it doesn't feel like a challenge. It would be very difficult to turn around and go, well, no, I'm not, if I say, well, you may begin to feel this. Because all I turn around and say, well, I said you may. Didn't say you would. I said you may. But keep looking for that now as you begin to notice that. So you can start using these words as bridges to change and shift. If you're talking to a friend and they're maybe a bit down, you can say something along the lines of, as you're chatting about this at the moment, I guess you may begin to find a solution. And I wonder when you're going to do that. So you're giving them that free direction of you may not, but you may. And because there's no pressure to find it, you're not saying you've got to find a solution, because that's like, I don't know what I should do. Whereas if you say, well, you may begin to start to find a solution now, I wonder when that'll be. Which really links just those 2 or 3 things together. It doesn't really say much, but for the person listening, it gives them space to think, to explore the possibility, and that I wonder when is a presupposition that they are going to find it. But that sense of wonder gets the mind looking for it. There is, and I'll have to try and find it, a marvelous demonstration of the use of and as. It's kind of a pacing and leading thing, but it also sets up an overload. So, you know, as you're sat there listening to this, and as you're aware of the chair you're sitting on, and as you can hear the words I'm speaking, and as you're thinking, well, where is this going, or where is it not? And as you're probably aware that there's probably things you've got to do tomorrow, and as you're doing that, and you can continue to relax just a little bit more than you were before. And as you continue to do that relaxing, you may now begin to see ways that you can apply some of this in your everyday life. And I wonder when you're going to do that. So again, we're overloading, so we're pacing almost, going, and as you're doing this and as you're doing that, but you don't give time to think, you deliver it quite quickly. I had that coaching session on Sunday, which was absolutely amazing. I Googled them and things as you do, and discovered that had they not been really nice people and said, come up and have a cup of tea and we'll have a session, that would have cost me a few £1,000 the other night. So it was like, wow. But there was times when I became aware of them using things like this, the pacing and leading, and as. It's a way of leading the thought. If you give too much time to think on that, it can step out. But and as is a really good way of leading somebody in a direction. So, you know, as you're sitting here thinking about that problem, and as you're mulling it over, and as you're heading towards a place where you can understand that, and as you're and as it says there, as you think about how to use these words, and as you begin to realize you are thinking, and as you really ponder this noun, you may relax deeper. And I wonder how easy it can be for you to use these trance words now. So you use and as, but then you're dropping in little suggestions of what can be happening. So that's our complete collection of new trance words. And I wonder if now that we've explored that, first of all, if there's any questions, just drop your mics on. If there is, that's no worries. If not, just wave and I'll know there are none.
I put a message in, Rob.
Oh,
Would it
let me
work
have a...
if would it work if you wrote it and somebody read it? Would it work the same or would it not?
I've quite often thought about this, and yes, to a point, I believe it would.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, because, well, actually, partly because some of the training and stuff that I've done where they're exploring things like this, they'll write a paragraph to illustrate it, and you find yourself kind of quite quickly zoning into that paragraph and trancing out. So yeah, you could apply this as writing, and use it in the same way to direct thought and attention. There's I used to have, I don't know where it's gone. There was a magician called Kenton Nepper who used it. I always wanted to do the experiment with it. Maybe I still will. To create, it was like a book, and it was like a trance book. And so it would start off with, I'll just use what's here. So imagine you're flicking through the book, and it would say something like, you'd open up a thing, you know, saying blah blah blah, whatever the book's called, first page, and as you're sat there reading this book, wondering where the pages are going and what lies over the next sheet, I wonder if you've already begun to notice now that sense of relaxation. And you can try to be distracted by the outside world, but you may begin to discover that as you turn to the next page, turn the page, it'll just say relax at the top. You can continue to relax, and it leads you in until you get to just one word a page. So it's almost like using the pages to do the timing of it. And then you just get to blank page. And the idea of that book is that by the time you get to the blank page, that person's in hypnosis and trance. So yeah, you could use this. There's one or two books, surprisingly, that I remember Anthony, who I trained with, warning me about hypnotic language, in as much as it is quite fascinating. And the more you look at it, the more fascinating it gets. And that sounds like I'm using hypnotic language, but I'm not. It's just my experience of it. But his warning was that it can be like a rabbit hole, and you can just get lost down it. And I'll just go and get it, in fact. The Language Pattern Bible. Indirect Therapy Patterns of Influence. It is page after page after page of study of language and how we apply language to affect change in consciousness, to induce trance, to what have we got here? That's just a description of different organizations, and this is A to Z. Oh, there you go. I said about you may when we were talking about you may, and here we've got you might find that you feel more positive. You got someone who's feeling a little dull, a little low. You go, you know what? As we're sitting here and it's a bit noisy, you might find yourself feeling a little bit more positive than when you came in. It's a harmless, easy sentence, but it's actually quite a powerful way of influencing somebody's thinking and their processes. Or you say something, you might notice you're starting to think more positively. You might sense that things are getting better. You might experience something good. So, and when you think about it, you probably find that in a conversation with somebody when they've been struggling a bit or something, you've probably said, oh, you might find tomorrow you're feeling brighter. This is exactly what we're doing, but this is how our language can. So this one, so you kind of say something, you might find that, which is an indirect thing, you feel more positive, so you follow it up with a suggestion. So you may begin, is the indirect getting the attention of the unconscious mind, you may begin to feel more relaxed now. So yeah, you can really go, you can get quite nerdy with it. But it's fascinating, and the more you study it, the more you open up your ability to communicate your thoughts, your ideas better. For me, if you're in a meeting and you can understand how the use of your words and everything can influence how people are thinking, that makes you a very powerful force in a meeting. You can influence how that meeting goes more in your favor. If you wanted to become an evangelical preacher and have your own mega church with billions of people around the world, and if you learned a load of this stuff, it would put you in a great place for doing that influence. And if you go and listen to those big mega church kind of preachers that they have in America, you'll hear a lot of these language patterns. Because the other good thing with knowing these language patterns is if you're aware of them, not only can you use them for yourself and to benefit others, but you can be aware of when people are using them on you. And like I said, when I was in the coaching on Sunday, I was very aware when Liz and Phil were slipping into different language patterns, which in that situation was great because I wanted them to do their thing and help me kind of get a few things clear and straight. But if you're have someone who's trying to sell you something, or somebody who's trying to con you out of something, being aware of these patterns is a real good way of going, no, I know what you're doing there, mate. I'm not having it. So it's useful in many ways, as well as helping and aiding people. I mean, actually, Sally, it would be good to just have a practice of taking, if you take this one and the other one, and just practice putting some sentences and some paragraphs together, just using combinations of those words with a kind of intent behind it of what you want that paragraph or two to do.
You
And
read my mind.
there you go. See,
Exactly what I was thinking.
yeah, but that's a good way of learning these full stop is to kind of to write with them. I know one of the people that I trained with said, when it comes to hypnotic language, there's a few ways you can practice it. You can just speak to yourself inanely, but you're limited on where you can do that because other people might be listening. You can imagine there's somebody sat in the chair, and you can go, and as you're sat there in the chair, I wonder if you can begin to notice that start of relaxation and trance as you try to hold on to everyday consciousness. Now, you may begin to enter trance quicker than you can imagine. And as you're entering trance, and as you're relaxing, and as you're listening to my voice, and as you're aware of the light coming through the window, you can go even deeper than that. So you can yeah, you can do it that way, or you can write down, whether it's just sentences, or if you're interested in exploring it from a writing perspective, writing whole paragraphs and stuff with it. Any more questions on any of that? Yeah, Sally, just drop your mic on. Good to see you, by the way, because I know you were late joining us.
Thank you. Who was the author of the Language Bible, please?
Oh, that
I've
is
just found it on Amazon.
Kevin Webb.
WEBB.
Yes, very well, actually edited. Oh, yeah, by no, not Kevin. Actually, I apologize. Kerin, Kerin Webb. Very happy chap on the back there. And I mean, this is just, it is packed absolutely full of the other good thing about knowing how these words influence us and affect us is we can see where our own inner dialogue is tripping us up.
Mine's bad.
Yeah. But if you're aware of this, you can start going, oh, hang on a minute. And as can sometimes be quite a part of people that worry, or as I'm doing this, and as I do that, and oh, what if that happens, and what if this, and what if that? Again, that's a language. And as, what if. They're all patterns that once you start becoming more aware of the way your patterns in your language work, you can start untying it and saying, okay, so I'm trying to make my life better. I wonder when my life is going to get better, is a better one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make different decisions. Well, we know that trying to make different decisions isn't going to work. I'm trying to hold on to the wrong decisions. See what I mean? It even just sounds better. You may, or you can direct it to I may. I wonder when now my life is going to start improving, and I may begin to notice that I'm feeling more positive rather than life's crap, when's it going to get better?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
I like the idea of helping people like you do, just
well, that's one of the things
with my language.
Yeah, that is one of the beauties of if you can get the idea of, say, if you can get a dozen words or patterns, language patterns that and there's some of them really complex. So you don't need them to be really complex. Sometimes I think it becomes an intellectual exercise rather than a practical, useful thing. But you literally can, with a sentence, just sometimes a throwaway sentence, or even sometimes a couple of words, completely shift where somebody is within that conversation, within their life. You know, you quite often hear people say, "Oh, I was listening to somebody talk, and there was just this one thing they said, and it changed my life." And so, and the beauty with this is, again, you're not having to be clever. You're not having to be giving a solution to the world's problems. You're just basically directing attention in more positive ways. So if you're sitting down with somebody, like, say, a friend who's going through a bit of a rough time and they're feeling a bit down, you can go, in fact, what I'll do, I'll post a link up for you all, actually, if they're still available. So I've got a couple of different sets of these, but they're great because they're hypnotic language pattern cards. I've got the set by Mike and I've got a set by Igor. And so things like, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to set a challenge. I'm going to kind of I've got 1, 2, I'm not even looking what comes out, 3, 4. So let's imagine, I got now again. Let's imagine I've bumped into a friend in the street and they're feeling a bit down on their luck. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe things aren't good at home. Maybe they're just feeling a bit low and struggling at the time. So I can say things like, here I've got how quickly. So yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. And I wonder how quickly that can start turning around for you. So I've said, I wonder, which is, as we've seen here, gets that idea, that thought of I wonder, because once they're exploring that it might change, then it's a possibility rather than it not being. So I wonder, add just in, because it makes it sound really easy for it to change quickly. So I wonder just how quickly you can begin to feel better, because sometimes we can start feeling better sooner than we realized. And I'm wondering, will you feel better later on today, or is it going to be tomorrow when you've had a chance to think about this before you begin to feel better now? Now's the last one. And so again, I'm not giving a solution. I'm just talking to somebody in a way that influences and directs their way of thinking. But like you said, Caroline, the thought, if you could do that for friends, and with every will in the world, I have certain friends that I love to bits. But if it wasn't for hypnotic language and being able to direct and lead their thought patterns a bit, they'd be like a stuck record.
That's what I feel I am. Imagine
No.
if I can direct my friends to you.
You direct your friends to me.
Yes.
Well, I wonder, as you've been taking this in, and now you may begin to discover how you can use this for yourself. And as you're beginning to discover that, you may find other applications for it as well.
Yeah.
And that is also what I've not told you, but that's just reminded me, is quite often there are certain unconscious signs, which is the unconscious mind going, yeah, I get that. Sometimes it'll be, you'll use a bit of language like this and you'll say something and it's somebody has just like this epiphany light bulb moment where this big problem that they thought was a really big issue, and they'll just kind of go, oh my God, yeah, that's it. if somebody laughs and they look like they're relaxing in response to this and they've had a moment, that laughter is an unconscious process. They haven't gone, right, now I'm going to laugh. It just happens. And that's the unconscious mind getting what you're saying before they consciously understand it. And you'll notice when we do the journeys, I'll quite often say, and even if you're, you can bring back that understanding. You can get this now, even if your conscious mind does not, your unconscious mind does. So something like that. Or if you're speaking to someone, and I'm imagining, obviously you've got your camera on, but I'm imagining when you went, yeah, you nodded your head as well. And if we
I am nodding, yes.
exactly, and we would be able to see, you would probably have a slightly, maybe a slightly, what's the word? Not glazed, but a slightly diffused look on your eyes. That, when people they're there, but they're thinking of something. So there's that slightly looking into the distance look. Yeah, and nodding and going, yeah. When you're using hypnotic,
smiling.
that's it, and smiling. Anything like that is an unconscious process. And I literally, when you use this, you can type stuff. You can have somebody, and they'll be going, well, no. And that's what you'd normally expect. But sometimes when you use this language, when you've made that kind of rapport and you're using it, you don't want to kind of put every sentence because it can sound a bit odd, but you're just dropping in bits here and there. But you'll get somebody that's going, well, I'm trying to think of something. I don't know if I can do that. And their conscious mind is telling you, I don't know why I can do that, but their unconscious mind's nodding to you, going, yes. So look for things when you're using this language that are incongruent. If somebody's telling you a negative, but they're now nodding their head, like, I don't know if I can do that. See, you normally be going, no, I can't do that. I don't know if I can do that. Is more of an indication that the unconscious mind's listening. And like I say, sometimes you'll get a revelation moment and somebody will just giggle. If you get someone, it's a beautiful moment, actually. Someone will just start giggling inanely, not inanely, but it's just like this kind of look of kind of, opening the fridge door and finding that's where you put the loaf of bread. This kind of like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course it is. And those are all signs that when you're using that language, but also if you use this for yourself, you can use this and apply it to problem solving, or for taking yourself into meditation, into hypnosis. So I wonder when I may begin to create more real world workshops. And as I think about that, and as I'm toying with that, and as I'm thinking about that now, I wonder if I could even begin to start. And all these things are opening up possibilities. And again, usually if someone's got a problem, if you're working with somebody individually or a friend's got a problem, I'm looking for things on my desk because what have we got here that will do the job? That'll do it. A Pritt stick and a roll of parcel tape. So if someone's got a problem, if they've got a problem, then they're here, yeah, and they can't see a way out. That's the whole of their world. Usually it's quite a narrow vision because sometimes you can be too involved in something to be able to see, can't see the wood for the trees kind of thing. And when we've got a problem, then we would tend to be in that can't see the wood for the trees. When you start using hypnotic language and using your language in a way that opens up possibilities, the moment, if I was doing this for the Pritt stick, and it says, I'm really stuck at the moment in my life. Well, where are you stuck? Well, I'm stuck in a roll of parcel tape. Okay. So as you're there right now, and as you're stuck within that parcel tape, and as we're talking about this, I wonder when you'll find yourself stepping away from that now. So I'm giving them I'm saying, you are going to find yourself stepping out of this. And you're getting the imagination on board going, well, I wonder I wonder when. So now they're going, oh yeah, I wonder when I'm going to start. The moment they're thinking, I wonder when, there's a door opening. You know, something more direct. I wonder if you can begin to imagine now what it will be like when that parcel tape's no longer there. And you can guarantee someone, you say something like that, someone, they'll be like, they'll start thinking about it. They won't start thinking about it. They're technically in trance. You've technically got them in hypnosis. They've gone inside their mind to find solutions. And if you notice that, yeah, and as you're doing that, and as you're exploring this, and as that, you may begin to see several options of how you can move forward from this now. So now you're getting them to imagine several options of how they can move. And the moment they've got here as another option, or here as another option, they can never go back to this single limited view. The moment there is another idea that says that could be different, there's a choice. And then it's just a matter of going towards the choice. And if you make a choice seem more attractive and enjoyable than where they currently are, as human beings, we tend to kind of prefer to eat cake than put our hands in fire. So you can yeah, exactly. So if you get somebody to explore possibilities, pick possibilities that are more appealing, have a greater sense of pleasure to them. So yes, you can stay here, be stuck and set on fire, or you can come here and eat cake. And the unconscious mind will go, cake or death? I'll go for cake. And because our minds will tend to gravitate towards that thing that we perceive most pleasurable, unless your idea of a good time is being set on fire, in which case you probably need a bit more help than a chat in a pub. So does all that make sense? Is that give ideas of how this can be applied? I mean, I'm never going to do a back-to-back series of these because there's so much just within this that you can explore and play around with. And now we've got the previous one. And what I'll do when I upload this video is I'll move the previous one up, so you haven't got to go scrolling through to find it. So you'll have this one, and then you'll have the previous one next to it. It's not too far down anyway, but it just makes life easier. And that will give you, yeah, that'll give you a whole arsenal of techniques and ways of using your words that can, like I say, improve your communication. I think I've definitely told the story about when I first started looking at use of hypnotic language and I ended up with a free pint from it. I'm not condoning getting free alcohol from an unsuspecting landlord, but it showed me that it worked. But you know, if you've got to return something and the customer service people are being a bit funny, you know, you pick the phone up and it's like, get the call center and they're being a bit difficult. As you know, I wonder, as you're trying to get in my way, if you may begin to find a way that you can help me now. It's quite a non-offensive thing to say to somebody. But if you carry on with that kind of line and approach, you can take quite a difficult, challenging situation and turn it around as well. I think that's enough Trancewords for tonight. Because I can, well, there's a whole book worth, but I'll see if I can find a good video just to put up in the chat as well. Not this chat, but our Facebook one, showing a hypnotist, hypnotherapist using this kind of language pattern and how they will use it, so you can see it in action as well. But yeah, and any final questions on that? Are we all good? All good? All good? Thumbs up. Okay, fabulous.